But we're also going to place strong protections to stop banks and regulators from trying to debank you from your political beliefs, what they do. They want to debank you, and we're going to debank. Think of this. They want to take away your rights. They want to take away your country. The things you're doing, all electric cars, give me a break. If you want an electric car, good, but they don't go far. They're very expensive.
Ah, yes, the banks will debank you. But don't worry, because Donald Trump will undebank you, and even if those banks try to re-debank you, he'll just unre-debank you and you'll be all set. Oh man, it would be funny if this idiot wasn't at the brink of destroying our democracy in his relentless and undying pursuit of power. Now, in fairness, what Donald Trump is trying to say with the rhetorical prowess of a 4-month-old signaling that he wants his Cheerios is that he will prevent banks from dropping customers, which conservatives have been claiming they've been doing to conservative activists, like, for example, the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio. In other words, lest you think that Donald Trump is doing low-rent populism and pretending to care about bank reform for regular Americans, no. He's just pandering to far-right extremist group leaders who traffic in the same perpetual victimhood that he traffics in. Because nothing says alpha in the Republican Party quite like making yourself out to be a martyr on an endless loop. Of course, while Trump desperately tries to promise some distorted degree of banking reform, but only for members of extremist groups, look at what Joe Biden did just this week on actual banking reform. He unveiled his proposal to slash overdraft fees from $35 down to as little as $3. Think about the vicious cycle that a $35 overdraft fee would have on someone who, by design, has no money in their account. It plunges them further into what can very well amount to inescapable debt. That's who Joe Biden's focus is on. By contrast, Trump was president for 4 years, and what financial reforms did he implement? There was one, to be precise, and that was cutting taxes for millionaires and billionaires, a move that not only helped his rich buddies and donors, but one that also added $1.9 trillion to the debt. The same debt, by the way, that Trump promised to eliminate, only to add nearly $7.8 trillion to. But hey, fiscal responsibility or something. And look, I almost feel stupid taking seriously the notion that Trump is seeking to deliver any policy improvements to Americans. Put simply, this guy does not give a shit about you or me or his own supporters. He is running to help one person, Donald Trump. And don't take my word for it, he was asked for his closing message to the voters of New Hampshire ahead of Tuesday's primary. And I know what you're thinking, grandiose promises about healthcare, about jobs, about booming 401ks. Yeah, not exactly.
What is your closing message to the people of New Hampshire?
It's very simple. It's make America great again. But I think very important, before we do this, because you were talking about the Supreme Court, they have 2 votes that are very important coming up. One is, as we discussed, we call it Colorado or whatever, but I really believe they're going to leave the people to vote. Again, you're the leading candidate in both parties. You're leading the Democrats by many, many points. I mean, it's hard to imagine they would do. And most states have already approved it, as you know. Very few states have done that. This is Colorado and a couple of others at this moment. But they have another important, and that's immunity for the president. The president of the United States, and I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about any president, has to have immunity. Because if you take immunity away from the president, so important, you will have a president that's not going to be able to do anything. Because when he leaves office, the opposing party, president, if it's the opposing party, will indict the president for doing something that should have been good.
That's right. Donald Trump's closing message, his final pitch to New Hampshire voters before they head out to the polls, is that a president needs complete and total immunity so that he can commit crimes with impunity. Let me make this perfectly clear. Trump is running for Trump, no one else. He is in this for himself, so much so that he can't even pretend that he wants to help Americans. He can't even bullshit his way through one of Sean Hannity's famous softballs. The guy is so self-obsessed, so eternally narcissistic, so contemptuous of his own voters that he almost tauntingly is letting them know that what he can deliver to them is protection for himself. How that will make anyone's life better, I couldn't possibly know. And that's the point. Trump is not interested in doing anything to help anyone, just like he wasn't his entire first term. Again, the only legislative accomplishment he's able to take credit for is a massive tax cut for the wealthiest Americans. Joe Biden, by contrast, has a laundry list of accomplishments, all of which benefit regular people. The American Rescue Plan saved our economy after Trump's gross mishandling of the pandemic and led us to the fastest recovery of all G7 countries. The Inflation Reduction Act was the biggest investment in climate and had a ton of healthcare benefits, like capping out-of-pocket costs for seniors at $2,000 $2,000 a month, capping insulin for Medicare recipients at $35 a month, and allowing the government to finally negotiate lower drug prices, all paid for by making tax-dodging billion-dollar corporations finally pay a minimum tax. The CHIPS Act led to an explosion of manufacturing jobs in this country, unlike anything in modern U.S. history. The PACT Acts gave veterans, including those exposed to toxic burn pits, health care. The infrastructure law gave this country a once-in-a-generation upgrade to our roads and bridges and airports and other infrastructure, not to mention broadband for rural America that doesn't even vote for Democrats writ large. The gun safety law was the first step toward common-sense gun safety in 30 years, all while adding nearly 14.5 million jobs, keeping the unemployment rate below 4% for 22 straight months, the best stretch in over 50 years, and seeing wage growth outpace inflation, which is now primed to fall below 2%. And look, for all those Trump fans out there, I know that Biden wasn't able to cement any banking protections for far-right extremists, but there's only so much that one man could do. So look, if you happen to be the leader of a far-right extremist group and are worried about being debanked, then perhaps Donald Trump is your guy. But for the rest of us, if you believe that the actual work of governance can help people, as it has thus far, then your best bet is to keep the people who actually believe in government in charge of it. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.